Hello and welcome again to Jason Live. My name is Patrick Shea, and we're back once again with our STEM career series where we learn about careers in science, technology, engineering, and math from role models currently working in those fields. Today's role model is Dr. Atsu Muto. Atsu is currently a research associate in the Department of Geosciences at the Pennsylvania State University. But his research has taken him to the ends of the earth, literally. His work in the polar regions is helping us better understand Earth's global climate system as well as global climate change. We'll chat with Atsu in just a moment, but first I want to remind all of you out there that this event is both live and interactive. You can use the box just below this video window to send us questions and participate in our polls. We'll try to get as many of you involved today as possible. But right now, it's time to get Atsu involved. Welcome, Atsu.
Hi.
Great to have you. So let's jump right into it and get started. Why don't you tell us what it is that you actually do? You've described yourself as a glaciologist and geophysicist. What does that mean?
So basically, glaciologists study glaciers. Well, that's where the word comes from, but my focus is actually on the ice sheets. So those are big masses of ice in Antarctica or in the Arctic. And we're trying to understand how these big masses of ice are changing with respect to the rest of the world. And we're trying to predict what is going to happen in the future. And the other thing is that we can learn about the past by looking at these ice masses.
And why is it important, or why is it interesting to use ice and go to these extreme locations like Antarctica or Greenland to learn about what's happened in the past and what might happen in the future?
Right. So ice sheets are probably the only archive of the past climate history that contains the actual air from the past. So what happens is it snows in Antarctica and Greenland, and it keeps piling up, accumulating on top of each other, and the air gets squeezed into the ice. And you can actually extract those air and look at what the atmosphere or the air in the past was like. So that's about learning the past climate history. And the other thing is, if a lot of the ice were to melt from Antarctica or Greenland, it can cause sea level rise, which may impact a lot of people living near the coast. So that's why we want to know what is actually happening. We're getting a lot of data these days, but we need more data to completely understand what is going on.
So what's our current state of understanding? What do we think at this point, knowing what we know now? What do we think is happening based on research you and your colleagues have done?
Right. Both Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets looks like they're losing some mass. That means some ice are melting and contributing to sea level rise. But there are a lot of errors and uncertainties still about what is actually happening to Antarctica. So Antarctica is pretty big. The area is equal to the US and Mexico combined, so we can't get to all of the area. So we have good data from a lot of the area, but we want to keep going back and really get a good estimate.
We have questions coming in from our audience. They're curious about this as well. This first one is from Karen. She wants to know, what major project are you currently working on, and what impact do you think it will have on your body of research?
Yeah. So currently, one of my main tasks is to actually use satellite imagery and actually measure gravity, little changes in gravity, to look at or to try to see what is underneath the ice that controls the flow of the ice. So is it hard rock or is it more sandy things? And those differences in what's beneath the ice can actually alter the speed of the ice. So if you want to have an accurate estimate of what the ice sheet is going to do in the future, we need to know the condition at the base of the ice.
Makes sense. So we've got some more questions coming in from our audience. This one is from Miss Templin's class, And they want to know, what is the most beautiful and largest glacier that you have ever studied?
Yeah, so I've actually been focusing on the inland part of the ice sheets, and I did say that I started looking at what's beneath the ice, and that's more on the coast, but that's more recent. So the thing is, I've been looking at ice sheets, not so much individual glaciers. So I can't tell you which one of them was the most beautiful. But I've been to the New South Pole, which is really flat and white, and that on its own, I think, is beautiful. It may be boring to some people, but where else on earth do you get that?
So tell us about that. You did a really long trip in Antarctica, went over 2,000 miles to collect
Yep.
data. Tell me
Mhm.
about that. What was that experience like?
Um, Good. And yeah, again, who gets to do that? Not a lot of scientists, not even a lot of glaciologists to do that. So what we did was we started from the coast. We drove, literally drove these big vehicles across the ice, across the Antarctic ice sheet, and stopping along the way to collect ice cores, put weather stations, a lot of radar data to try to see what's inside the ice. And I actually put out, yeah, this is me putting out the automatic sensors, and these things are sending back. Um, Still, this was 5 years ago, but they're still sending me some information about the climate and what the ice temperature is right now in the Antarctic ice sheet.
We've got some questions coming in from our audience about that Antarctic trip and just what it takes to survive and actually do work in that area. This one is from Sarah from Indiana. She wants to know, do you have to do any survival training work to work in Antarctica? If so, what did you do to prepare for emergencies? And the second part of her question, have you ever experienced any emergencies while out in the field in Antarctica or anywhere else? And what was that like?
Yeah. Okay, so the first part of the question, did I have to do any training? Yes, and we make field plans so we don't have to use these things, but accidents do sometimes happen, so we have to be prepared. So one of the things was crevasse rescue. Uh, we did go through some areas near the coast where there are crevasses, so these are big cracks in the ice. And just in case if you fall in one of those, you need to learn how to get yourself out of them. Well, first of all, not to get yourself in them. So you tie yourself to a vehicle or to each other. So once you fall, um, you're not gonna fall right to the bottom. So yes, there are some trainings, and there are some basic skill trainings or basic first aid trainings, and just camping out in the ice is one of the trainings. And the second part of the question is, have I been in danger? And luckily, no. So I have never had to use any of the skills that I learned in those trainings.
Well, we're glad to hear that. We've got another related question, another one from Miss Templin's class. What's the scariest situation you have ever been involved in?
Yeah. So as I said, I have never been involved in accidents, so um, nothing that scary. But I would say that it was really cold when we were doing that big traverse across Antarctica. And one night it got down to about minus 40, minus 45 degrees Fahrenheit. And I was still working outside when everyone else had gone to sleep. And I was really cold, but I just had to do my work. So I kept going. And then realized I was just too cold, so I had to stop and go inside and just go to sleep. So, yeah, that was my experience.
Fascinating. I'm sure we'll have some more questions about just working in those extreme environments, but we've got a question right now from Andy. Andy wants to know, have you ever found fossils in glaciers or any of your ice cores for that matter? I know this isn't what you're focused on, but did you come across anything?
No, no, we haven't seen any fossils, and I don't think anyone has ever seen fossils in ice cores or in ice in Antarctica or in Greenland. There probably are fossils actually in the ground beneath the ice, but it is very hard to get to those grounds. So I don't think no one has actually recovered fossils.
Pretty cool. We've got a question from Adelaide right now. Do you get to work with and meet a lot of interesting people in your travels?
Yes. Well, it may depend on what you mean by interesting, but I work with a lot of international scientists. So that trip, that long traverse in Antarctica was with Norwegian scientists, but I'm from Japan, and there are some people from Germany, from the US, and just, yeah, a lot of international people, and exchanging each other's cultures, learning about other's culture is always a thing I look forward to.
Okay, we're going to shift gears a bit. We're going to take a video question from Tyler right now.
Hi, my name is Tyler, and I was wondering, what skills did you teach yourself for math to get into glaciology?
Yeah, there are lots, but one I can think of is it's calculus in math, and that's probably something you learn in high school. But I use a lot of calculus or advanced calculus in my research, and of course you learn that in high school, college, and graduate school. But there are some specialized parts of calculus that I just have to teach myself. So that's the main thing I can think of.
We've got another math-related question. This one is from Kathleen. She says, I like math and science, but at times do not see their connection to real life. She figures it will come and wants to know if you struggled with the practical use of math and science when you were in middle school and high school, even though you were good at it.
Yeah, this is a really good question, and I know how you're feeling because I did struggle. Maybe not so much in the middle school. In high school, when the math started to get complicated, yes, I was good. I could do them, but yeah, I did think, what is this used for? But now, being a scientist or geophysicist, I see where they're used. So yes, they will come like you fear. But if you're having fun, that's great. Just keep going. But if you're not, hang in there. And also, you can ask your teacher, what is it used for? And I think he or she will be helpful.
Do you find that it's easier to work with, even if it's really hard math, that it's easier to work with when you're trying to solve a problem that you've come up with on your own?
Yeah, yep, actually. So that's the part about teaching myself complicated math. I think that's one of my answers online. But I knew I had learned something of complicated calculus when I was in college, but I wasn't paying attention too much, so I had to teach myself again. But that's because I know what my big picture or the big problem I wanted to solve about Antarctica was. So I just had to reteach myself.
So let's talk a bit about career path. Where did this love for ice and extreme environments and trying to solve these problems of climate change, where did that all begin for you?
Yes, it was when I was in middle school. I actually saw a piece of ice core, and the teacher was telling me where it came from, and Antarctica was just, it became such a mysterious and wonderful place to me. I just wanted to go to Antarctica. That was the start. So I didn't know if I wanted to be a glaciologist or geophysicist until I got to college, but I wanted to work in Antarctica.
You had also posted in your some of the answers to your profiles that one of your favorite things to do in your work is blow things up. So tell me about active seismology. I probably have that wrong. Active source seismic work.
No, that's great. Active seismology or active source seismic work. Yeah. So that's actually one of the new things I'm doing these days. But what you do is you set off explosives at the surface of the ice, and you send down earthquakes, or in this case, it's ice quakes. And you're trying to look at those quakes that are reflected from the bottom of the ice and also from what's underneath the ice. So sometimes you have the ocean beneath the ice, and you have rocks, you have different types of rocks, and you want to image what's beneath the ice. And active source seismology using explosives is a really powerful tool.
Awesome. We're going to go to another video question now. This one is from Abdel Rahman.
If you had to switch careers, which career would you switch to?
Yeah, well, you have a picture of a plane behind you, and I would like to be a pilot. I like watching planes. I like flying. Yeah.
All right, we're going to shift gears yet again here. We're going to, we've answered a lot of your questions already out there in the audience, but now it is time to play our Stump the Audience game. Atsu has put together some poll questions, and we're going to ask those of you. So here is our first one. Where has Atsu not seen penguins? Has he not seen penguins in South Africa, in Antarctica, or in Alaska? So 2 of these are true, 1 is false, and we are asking you to identify the false answer here. Where has Atsu not seen penguins? So we have folks answering. Looks like 100% so far are saying Alaska. Atsu, what is the correct answer there?
That's correct. C, Alaska. There are no penguins in Alaska, and I have not been to Alaska either.
Well, that'll do it. We're looking at some emperor penguins here. Tell us about the penguins you saw in Antarctica.
Yep. So I've seen these emperor penguins, and so a penguin walking up to you is kind of what happened to me. So I'm not doing anything, but penguins are really curious. So they try to walk up to you and try to pick you, and you're not allowed to approach them. You're not allowed to touch them, but if they approach you, there's nothing you can do.
Okay, time for our second poll question. What does Atsu not do in his free time in the field when he's out on expedition? Does he watch movies? Does he surf the web? Does he talk to family and friends on the phone? 2 of those are true. 1 is false. Pick the false answer, and we'll see if you get it right. We've got folks answering, looks like 100% so far say surf the web. Oh, no, now it's 50-50. Some think you do not talk to friends and family. Let's get the answer from Atsu right now. What is the false answer there?
Right. The false answer is surf the web. I think you may be able to get internet while you're in the field through satellite, but we don't do that. But we talk to our families and friends, and we watch movies.
There you have it. Poll number 3, which country has Atsu not lived in? Is it New Zealand, Australia, Japan, or the United States? So actually 3 of these are true in this case. Atsu's been all over. But which one has he not lived in? So we're waiting for some of the answers to come in here. So far, New Zealand, 100%. We'll see if a couple of other answers trickle in or if they're going to stick with that response. Oh, now New Zealand and Australia, 50-50. More answers coming in. Yeah, we've got a little bit of a spread. So why don't we get the false answer from Atsu? Which country have you not lived in?
Yeah, I have not lived in New Zealand, but I have lived in Japan, United States, and Australia.
So you were born in Japan. You're currently in the U.S.
Yeah, I went to middle school and high school in Australia, actually.
And what brought you there?
My father was working there for a while.
Very cool. Okay, we're going to move along. It's time to learn a little bit about you when you're not working. So what kinds of things do you do when you're not doing research or you're not out in the field?
I like to cycle. I have a road bike and a mountain bike, so I cycle a lot. And also, I live in central Pennsylvania where fly fishing is really good, so I go fly fishing.
Cool. We've got a question related to that now from Kristen. She likes a lot of books and movies, and she wants to know, what is your favorite book and favorite movie?
Yeah, with book, I don't know if you saw my response to the profile, but I don't read a lot of books. So I can't think of my favorite book. But movie would be probably Top Gun, because as I said, I like watching planes, and it's just cool to see those fighter jets in the movie.
It is a classic. I also noticed in your profile that you said that reading and writing is actually really important, even for a scientist, and even though you're really focused on math and it's a math-heavy endeavor. What's your advice in terms of reading and writing for kids?
Yeah, read a lot of books, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, and just reading a lot of books will help your writing. And as I said in the profile, I regret that I didn't do much of that, and I do struggle writing science papers these days because of that. So I really encourage you to read a lot of books.
Our next question here is from Vedhas. He wants to know, did your parents influence any part of your life, and did you ever listen to them?
My mother is actually a really tidy person, and she taught me to be really organized and tidy. And it actually helps a lot in the field because you have a lot of equipment, and you don't want to lose anything, and you want to know where things are right away. So listening to your parents can help you.
Naya wants to know, did Japanese culture influence you in any way in your choice of career?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I never thought about it. And I don't think so, but maybe I need to do a better thought about that question.
Okay. Nathan wants to know if it was hard to learn English as a second language.
So I was 13 years old when I moved to Australia. So it was a long time ago. I don't remember it being particularly hard, but I'm sure at the time it was. But it took me 1 year going to a special language school before I went to normal middle school.
Okay.
So,
We've got another video question here. This one is from Chandy.
Was there ever a time you felt like quitting?
Not in the true sense, but there has been moments when I wanted to give up when, like, my equipment in the field weren't working. But that's just for a short moment. I never considered actually quitting because I like it.
We're going to go back in time a little bit to middle school, and we have a question here from Kathleen. She wants to know what you have done differently in middle school or in high school, knowing what you know now.
Yeah. Coming back to the writing part, so I wish I were a better writer. So reading a lot of books. I would have read a lot more books.
Always good advice. Our next question, it's a combination question from Victoria and Adelaide. She wants to know, why would kids be interested in your job, if that's not obvious enough already from what we've already talked about? And what's the main piece of advice that you give a kid that wanted to follow in your footsteps and have your job when they grew up?
Yeah. So being a glaciologist and geophysicist, I get to travel a lot to exotic places. So I think that's a big advantage of this job. So yeah, that's one thing. And the other thing is that I get to drive snowmobiles and big snow machines, which are pretty cool. So yeah, if you like big machines or traveling a lot, this is a good career.
Is there a downside to all that travel too? You say that you're really in the field for a long time. Is it tough being away from friends and family?
Yeah. At times I'm away for about 3 months, and I start missing my family and friends. So yeah, being away from home for a long time might be a downside.
But it's all worth it in the end.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Next question is from Ariane. She wants to know, who inspires you the most?
Yeah, I would say my colleagues. I'm really lucky to have great glaciologists and geophysicists working with me. So I learn a lot from my colleagues around me.
Follow up to that from Luke. Do you make a lot of friends on your travels and through your career?
Yep, definitely. I have friends pretty much all over the world. So if I travel for conference or just on my personal travel, I typically have a place to stay.
Very cool. Atsu, we've got a couple of images here that you shared. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit what's going on. You mentioned riding snowmobiles. Where are you in this picture?
Yeah, this is in Greenland, and it's the middle of Greenland ice sheet, so that's why it's flat and white. And I think I'm going back to the camp from a field site, so there's all kinds of equipment I'm towing behind me.
Well, we're starting to run short of time. Before we go, I just wanted to ask you if there's anything that either I or our audience should have asked you today and didn't. So kind of last chance for words of advice.
Yeah, no, you guys had really good questions, and as I said, reading books and what you're learning in middle school right now is really going to be useful when, if you actually choose a STEM career. So math and science and those things may not make a lot of sense to you right now, and what's the real world application, but those are really useful. So keep enjoying school, keep stay in school, and listen to your teachers.
So what do you have coming up next? What exotic location will you be off to?
Right now, I actually have a conference to go to in Norway in August and October again. And I may be going back to Antarctica in a couple of years.
Awesome. When you do, hopefully we'll have some way of following along and keeping tabs on you and your career.
Mm-hmm.
Really appreciate the time you've taken today joining us and sharing your stories. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay. That actually wraps up our spring live event season, but we do have some things coming up this summer. Starting very soon is the Nautilus Live Expedition. This is Bob Ballard's exploration vessel Nautilus. It will be leaving. It's currently in Texas, in Galveston, but it'll be leaving soon to explore in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea. You'll be able to watch live video of scientists doing their explorations of the ocean floor 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all summer long on nautiluslive.org. And on July 25th, get ready to learn all about beluga whales. A team from Mystic Aquarium will be studying wild belugas in the Canadian high Arctic, and we're going to be able to connect with them live via satellite from their base camp. So we're very excited about that. Again, July 25th. Mark your calendar and check back at jason.org/live for program times as that date approaches. As always, check out jason.org/live for all of our upcoming events. We're putting together our live events calendar for the fall season as we speak right now. We have an exciting and diverse group of STEM role models coming up for next school year. So again, be posting information on all of those events at jason.org/live as well. And keep in touch with us. Use Facebook and Twitter to keep tabs on the latest Jason news. But we also really want to hear from you. We want to know how we're doing and what ideas you have for future events, future role models, future careers that we will feature. So please connect with us through those channels and let us know what you think. Thanks again for joining us. Once again, I am Patrick Shea for Jason Live, and we'll see you next time. Take care.